Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is going to be hard to swallow, to say the least. Let me begin by asking you a question. To whom do you belong, or to what do you belong here on earth? What do you belong to? Do you belong to your body? Do you belong to your mind? Do you belong to your family? Do you belong to your culture, your society? What do you belong to? Well, you probably say, well, I belong to all of those things. And that's where the persecution's going to be. Because if you start following the Beatitudes, as I've given you, from blessed are they that are poor in spirit all the way down to this one, you're going to find people aren't going to like you much anymore. And you are going to find persecution. And Jesus talked about it even in his own life. He said, unless a man hates his mother, his father, his brother, his sister, his own life, his land, he cannot be my disciple. That's out of his mouth, not mine. I didn't make that up. You can go look it up. And I'll bet you anything your minister never talks about that, especially on Mother's Day, huh? But that's what he said. And why? Because these are the people and the conditions and the circumstances that we belong to. We made ourselves belong to that. We live for the love of other people. We don't live for the love that lives within us. And as long as I am living for the love of other people, trying to get them to love me so I can feel loved, I'm going to compromise what is most important about my own inner integrity, which is the sake of the pure in heart. We live from the genetic heart. We live from the old idea that if we have a lot of people around us that love us, we must be okay. And we have all sorts of prejudices and fears and theories and philosophies and religions about it, which is what people do. And that keeps us cozy and comfortable in the cesspool of our mediocrity, our mentality that we like to live in. And we live there for most of our life, if not all of it, over and over and over again. I don't think people really realize what a rebel rouser Mr. Jesus was and what he was teaching. He wasn't teaching us to be copacetic with the culture of his day or the culture of our own day. He was teaching us once again consciousness and what it means to drop the idea of having a me and I and you and start living in something other than that. When you start doing that, you're going to run up against difficulty. You're going to be persecuted. And there's different forms of persecution, obviously. You can be persecuted for going against culture and society. You know, we've had those people, the Gandhis, the Anwar Sadats, the Dr. Martin Luther Kings. They went against the culture, the society, and we all know what they got. We don't put up with this very much. They did it even to Jesus. Socrates, same thing. So when you start looking at this, you got to go, well, you know, I like so far everything you've kind of said, but I don't know if I'm going to want to pay this price, and I understand. It's a difficult one. Jesus was sitting in a very small house, and he was teaching. And the house was full of people. And one of his disciples said, hey, your mother, your brother, and your sister are outside waiting for you. And Jesus looked at him and said, who is my mother and who is my brethren? Only those, he said, who seek to do the will of my Father. So we never know if they ever got ushered in. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, who would have been able to say to you at any level, hey, guess what? If you don't understand the nature of your body, you don't understand the nature of your being, you're going to be at odds with your own family. You're going to be at odds with everything that is important in the human vernacular, the social and cultural setting that most of us live in and breathe in. I mean, who do you want to be around? If you're a Democrat, do you want to be around a bunch of Republicans? If you're a Christian, do you want to be around a bunch of Muslims? People have these ideas about right and wrong, comfortable and uncomfortable, and what they believe in and what they think is important. And we only want to be surrounded by the people who are like us. And that is a very difficult thing to do. If there is any sense of mercy in me, I'll be able to be around everyone all the time. It won't matter if they're my mother, my brethren, my enemy, my friend. It won't matter. But if I have not attained to mercy inside, then I can only be around the people who think like I do, who think in the conventional way, the pedestrian mentality, as I like to say, over and over and over again, just living to eat and be friendly in the same emotionality that causes all the war and the pain and the sorrow and the upset that we see in the world today. You know, it's a hard thing to swallow what he's saying, but it's an important one. It has a lot to do with our own inner peace. I hope you found the uniqueness of my message here on Aspire and that you will help sustain our effort both on radio and here on TV to keep Aspire on the air, to keep it serving humankind. We need your sponsorship to do this. Your sponsorship is what allows us to be here and to serve humankind the way we do. If you're interested, go to the website at aspire.org and go take a look at support. I deeply appreciate it. Now back to Aspire. I guess you can see by what I've given to you here that Jesus is actually a very controversial figure. I want you to remember, he's speaking from the other shore. He's not speaking from here. He is not speaking from our tribal customs and beliefs. He's from another place at another time, speaking to us here, trying to lure us or point his finger over to the other shore to say, oh, because that is where his message is from. And when he talks about the idea of love, it's totally different than what we talk about. We on this earth want to be loved. That's all we want. And we want lots of people around us to support us in the kind of love we want to have. So when you're talking about the Beatitudes and this blueprint for spiritual awakening, you're not talking about stories and myths that human beings enjoy, wanting to be loved and be cherished and think that our poop don't stink. We don't want to believe that. We want everyone around us to agree with us and tell us we're right. This is not the man that you're looking at here when you're talking about the Beatitudes. He is giving us the alternative to conventional belief and religion. So what is he saying? It isn't about being loved. It's about being the love we want to be loved by, which is more than what our traditions show us, what our religions show us, what our cultures show us. We must be the love we seek. That love has got to be more than emotionality. And this is where the genetic heart comes in. I cannot say enough to you about this genetic heart. The way we love from our humanity, living as a humanity and believing in our humanity, and only thinking that that's all we can be is human. There is so much more to our potential than all of that. And as he points his finger to the idea that there is more to love than just being loved the way we want to be, we tend to take insult to it and be resentful of it. I'm going to tell you something. The love that your family has given you, gave me, my family, is exactly the opposite of the love you need to awaken. Now, how am I going to get you to look at this and not get angry and insulted? You have to have that hunger and thirst mentality to go, you know, I have a sneaking suspicion this could be correct. This could be something that would help me. People don't live to awaken spiritually. They live to be confined in little boxes and little shelves and little places where people think as they do. We don't want anybody that maybe takes us out of that realm. So to do this, you're going to need consciousness. I don't know how far you want to go with your life. It may not be the life for you that you seek consciousness, and that's perfectly all right. But when the time comes and you truly want to go beyond religion, philosophy, and science even, and go into the depths of a science that is greater than philosophy and religion, you and I are going to have to go into meditation. It is only through meditation that we begin to explore that which we really are. How do I tell you that? How do I get you started in that? It's very hard because all of our thoughts are focused on our insecurity. How do I avoid the genetic pain I'm going to feel if I say to my family, you know, I can't be around you anymore because you don't love? And that's not what he's saying at all. Remember, that Aramaic word for hate is to put away. It means to push back, to be able to see things for the way they are as they are. We were drawn together by karma, all of us. We have a fate and a destiny, all of us. And in this world, that fate and destiny sometimes is people that we love, people that we don't love, people that we hate, people that we like. It runs a whole gamut. You can't just nail it down to one or two things. It's the whole spectrum of life. And everyone has come into your life to give you a message. If you can hear that message without taking exception to it, being insulted by it, or being angered by it, you walk into a basic intelligence in life. An intelligence that is more than what you can perceive through your thoughts and your standard beliefs. You start to realize behind the shadow of my own thinking and behind the genetics of my own beliefs, there lives a life that is more, just more. I'm not going to say more credible or more vivid or more real, just it's more. And it's more because it's simple. It's more because it's not in conflict with what is. It's more because it's inclusive. And it's more because it contains a depth of oneness that love is truly all about. Love, as I've said to you, is not exclusive to people. It's inclusive to consciousness. And once we're aware of our own consciousness, then we can be inclusive in that oneness. We can start to see things for the way they are, not based on my Gregory Penn thoughts, but based on the pure in heart. If you didn't get everything I was talking about here on the program, you can download the whole series from the website at aspire.org. And for those of you who are sponsors, you can download them for free. The donation for them goes to purchase more airtime of our radio and our TV program, and it is considered, as I said, a donation. Order yours today, and if you're a sponsor, download them right away. Thanks for watching. Now back to Aspire. I want to end the series with what I began with in this segment about where do you belong? Who do you come from? What owns you? What is it that makes your life your life? What do you belong to in the form of your emotionality? Why is it you can't change it, control it, deal with it? How about your thoughts? The same thing. What do your thoughts belong to? Why can't you control them, deal with them, operate within them without being, well, shall we say, violent or angry or think you're so smart? We all have our deal, all of us. What I want you to see is we belong not to our hearts, but to the genetics of us. And we are here to listen to the teachings of the other shore from people like Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, that we might hear a different frame of mind, maybe a sense of consciousness if we're very, very diligent in our practice. So I'm going to talk to you about this man that came to the Buddha. He came with a lot of money. He had money in one hand and he had a lotus blossom in the other. The lotus blossom was very rare. And he came to the Buddha and he said, "Here, for you." And Buddha said, "Drop the money." So he dropped the money, and it was a lot of money. When someone like a Buddha says drop the money, he means he doesn't want anything to do with it. Then he had the lotus blossom, and it was very rare and very beautiful. And Buddha said, drop that. And the little monk said, well, now I have nothing to offer you. And Buddha said, well, what would you have offered? He said, I can't offer my body. It belongs to my parents. It belongs to the elements of this world. I have nothing to give to you. And Buddha looked, smiled at him, and said, you have so much to give. It is when you give of your heart, Buddha said. Give of your love. That is all I want. I agree. This is all about love. It isn't about what is beautiful in the world or how much money we have or what we think or what we even want. We're not here to be comfortable because we never will be. Impermanence changes all of that. So what are we here for and what do we belong to? Well, blessed are they that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs shall be the kingdom of heaven. You belong to that kingdom of heaven. People may not understand you. You may have to live alone, as it were. You may live with people, but they won't understand who you are. And you may have to live alone in all of that. And that, if that's too much to ask, then it's not your time to live in consciousness. It's your time to live in more futility. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way you're going to choose to live. But for those of you who are considering the other shore, there's something more. There's something very beautiful trying to reach you. These Beatitudes, as I said to you at the beginning, they are very, very different than any other teaching we have ever heard on earth. They are a summation of what it means to achieve what meaning there is in ourselves as well as in this world, and to achieve it not through thought, not through emotion, not through passion, but through consciousness. To begin to no longer be eluded and deluded by my illusions about what I think of as real and unreal, right and wrong, good and bad. Once those illusions and those judgments are done, I'm no longer fighting for my existence here on earth, fighting for my identity here on earth, fighting for my place on earth, either with my friends or my family. I can accept everyone just as they are and love them just as they are. And I don't need to feel as though I'm better than or lesser than, because there's going to be no story I'm going to be telling about myself to me or to them. And now I have the opportunity to truly love them. 9 times out of 10, though, these people will feel uncomfortable. They'll persecute you. They'll wonder what happened to you, what went wrong, you went too far, you're in a cult, you're changing your life, you're not like us anymore. That's what my family said. But I never was. But I love them anyway, just the way they are. And to this day, when my cousin says to me, I don't know if you're in our family. I don't even know if you came from our family. You're like the man from the moon. I never take it as a form of persecution or criticism. I actually do know, wow, I have come that far in my life, in myself, to no longer be associated with the things that in my family you associate with, which is emotionality and a little bit of pessimism and pettiness, and it all comes together in some conglomeration that you call the Penns. So I'm over that, long over that. I hope this helped you. I hope in some way gave you at least an overview for you to see what the other shore might be like, what it could be like to live from another place, another dimension that actually does live inside each and every one of us. And while we're here in this illusion, in this body, you can do a lot of things with your life that could be very beautiful and be in service to humankind. And I think that is one of the most important things any of us can do. Thank you for watching this series and being patient with me. Please forgive me. Namaste.